everyone, it's Friedia here, and as you may know, I have a small brick-and-mortar stationery store in Los Angeles, Chinatown. A lot of questions that I receive in my DM are also regarding how I started my business. So I thought today I would answer your questions. But since there's so many, I just asked ChatGPT on some common questions that people might ask for someone who has a brick-and-mortar store. So I'm gonna just go down the list and hopefully that'll answer some questions. Number one, what inspired you to start your shop? So my biggest inspiration was I was living in Japan since I was 12 to 24, and I have always loved stationery, always. My mom and my dad were traveling around the world. My dad's a plasma physicist and he had to do research, and they ended up in Germany. My mom is Brazilian and she couldn't speak Portuguese. So what she did to communicate with others was carry a notepad and a pen, and she said she would just draw. She would go to the grocery store and draw like a bottle of milk or something, and that's how she would communicate because verbally she couldn't do it. Also during this time when I was little, there were no Game Boys or iPhones or whatnot. It was really, my mom said that whenever there was any downtime at all, she would just give me a pen and paper because that's what I loved to do. And also during this time, my dad was going back and forth to Europe a lot, multiple times a year. And every time he would bring back some German notebook or some Switzerland pen, Swiss pen. And I just remember my dad always had like a diary, was always journaling. My mom too was always scrapbooking and, you know, drawing and stuff like that. So I think it's just been in me. And when I moved from Japan to Los Angeles in end of 2004, I wanted stationery because in Tokyo, it's so easy to just walk down the street. You can even find it at the convenience store. Like, it's just so easy to get. Where over here, I just saw there was a lack of. During that time, I always thought it would be so much fun to have a stationery store or to have a store and grow old in. Like, I could be an old lady putting out the sign of the shop and, you know, replenishing. I just thought it would be a dream. LA never really got the stationery store that I always wanted or thought of or dreamt of. A lot of the stationery stores equal to gift shops over here. It's either a gift shop or an art supply shop. There's really nothing in between where it's all stationery. And then I got to work with a Japanese stationery company and got to go to the stationery shows in New York. And that's when I noticed in New York, there were actually a handful of actual stationery stores. So when I saw this, I just thought, oh, my dream isn't that far. Like, if they have it here in New York, then it's gotta work in LA. Why haven't they brought it over or whatever? So, knowing that LA already had stationery stores, and I never, ever, ever have thought of any of these stationery stores as any type of rivalry or, you know, I'm never negative in any way. All the stationery stores around LA, California, I absolutely love. You have no idea. I still go to them, even though I have my own store, I still go to them because I just love stationery that much. With that in mind, I knew that I could create a stationery store that would be different from everyone else. And that's when I had the opportunity and I took it, and that's why I started. 2, what types of products or services do you offer? So because I am half Japanese, I like to reach out to a lot of, originally it was a lot of Japanese vendors. I really wanted to reach out to the very small, hard to get, hard to find stationery makers in Japan. So we do try to carry those. But then it also, you know, branched out to now we carry items from Taiwan, from Korea. We have some items from Europe. So really, whenever I look at stationery that I want to bring into the shop, my biggest thing is, will this make the consumer, our customer, excited to use it? Because what I want to do with this shop is everything is so digital now. Everything is on our phones, our iPads, our laptops. And that whole analog side of things, of paper and pen, is slowly dying down, right? Luckily, it's coming back because it's like a whole, it's like if stationery was vinyl. It's cool to have vinyl. So now it's like cool to have a journal and a fountain pen or whatever. But it's also, I just want to bring in stationery to show people that it's not always boring and it's not always your grandparents' things. Even though I think old stationery is so freaking cool, I know for some that, you know, it needs to be interesting or look interesting for them to always want to use it, or the quality has to be really good. There has to be some type of feel when you see the stationery that it'll just entice you to use it, because I feel like it's so important to use a pen and paper. It's so important for people to know what their handwriting or their partner's handwriting looks like, you know? Or else it's all just gonna be digital and this, and it's not the same. I also believe that creativity starts with pencil and paper, pen and paper. Everything starts on paper and then it might slowly go into digital. But that too, you know, I feel like it's really important. So my goal is to make sure I find items that'll inspire people to use it. Whether you're a writer, a creator, a mom, it doesn't matter. It could be anybody, but I just want it to be fun and exciting for you as much as it is for me. 3, how did you choose this location? Okay, so this is a question that I get asked on a lot. Why did you choose Chinatown? Chinatown chose us. Back in 2019, we were doing a pop-up in this lovely South Pasadena coffee shop called Two Kids. They were generous enough to let us use the front area of their coffee shop for us to pop up. It did so well the first month that we stayed an extra 1 or 2 months. No, we stayed 2 months at their shop. Originally, we loved South Pass so much that we walked up and down Mission Street, and we were just trying to find a location. There was this one small stationery store that was actually going out of business, and she came and offered us the space, but the rent was just so high that for us being brand new and also not having any finances or loans or anything like that, we just didn't know if we could do it. So once we couldn't find a place in South Pass, we hit up everywhere we could. I don't know, if you've been following me, then I've posted all the spots that we went to on my Instagram. We went to so many. Atwater, Silver Lake, Highland Park, talk about being trendy. I've checked Abbot Kinney. I've looked at so many places, and every one of them, no joke, every one of them said, why stationery? Nobody's gonna buy stationery. You should have an iPhone case store, or you should sell headphones, or you're a woman, you should have a hair salon or a nail salon, or it's stationery, it's not gonna bring enough people, you're not gonna be able to pay rent. So then what? So they were actually questioning what we were trying to do, and were told no before we could even show them anything. And when we found the Chinatown spot and we contacted the landlord, it was the first time that they were like, wow, this is such a cool idea. You know, I don't know if it's gonna do well, but why don't we just give it a shot? And that's why we're in Chinatown, because it's the first spot that was welcoming to us, and the landlord wanted to help us, and he did. Unfortunately, we got pandemic a month later after signing the lease, but I mean, I'm still friends with him now. He's retired now, but he comes into the shop and he still says hi. So really, Chinatown chose us. What has been the biggest challenge so far? Well, like I just said, we opened, and then a month later, pandemic. For us, it was, okay, so there's a couple things that have been challenging for me. One was the pandemic. During that time, I had a partner. We only knew how to run a brick and mortar because we had worked in a brick and mortar. That was fine. We knew what to do. But then when it became pandemic and everything had to be online, we had to hustle. So I put what I learned on social media from before, from doing YouTube and all of that years ago, brought it back up, and I just tried to go online every day and, you know, try to get online sales visibility. For a brand new store, for you to buy something from a brand new store is really hard to convince a customer. So I was on every day, and it worked. Luckily it worked. But that was a really big challenge on how do we spread the word? How do we get people to hear about us and actually shop from us? It was a big challenge during the pandemic, and right now I'm having the difficulty of trying to figure out. Majority of our sales are people that walk into our shop. So I would say 85–90% are from people that either walk in, or they actually come for coffee and they find us out, or it's through Instagram or social media and they come saying like, I've been wanting to come to your shop for months now, or I saw this video, and they walk in, which is great. But I know majority of the stationery stores within the United States, it's the opposite. They get more of their sales online than they do of people walking in. So for me now, I feel like, yes, we got a sale. I feel like I understand customers and what they want. I get to hear them. I get to talk to them. I get to hear what the staff has to say because we're there every day. But now I am just trying to figure out the other side of things. So that's been a challenge. Promoting ourselves, figuring out online sales. Another challenge has been I had a partner. Now I am on my own. That whole thing was very messy, where I feel like it didn't have to be. But now I know if I ever have a partner again, I don't think I will, that if you do have a partner, that your agreement has to be so solid of an exit plan, or else don't sign it. I know you're starting a business with your best friend, with your family member, whatever it may be. So it's all fun and games in the beginning, and you're not really thinking about, well, what if we disagree on something? Like, oh no, you're so cool, we won't disagree. No, you will disagree. There will be disagreements. It's the same thing as family. And so if you have an exit plan written down that you both signed, it's so much easier to go off of that than to try to figure out, because it gets really messy. And I feel like we had an exit plan, but it wasn't solid enough. So that was a challenge. How did you come up with the name for your shop? So originally the shop was called Paper Please, and that came up because we were just trying to come up with names, and it was just a conversation. We were like, would you like plastic or paper? And paper please. And that's literally how it came up. Like, oh, that could work. And yeah, that's how that happened. Once my partner left, the agreement was that we would have to switch names, which means I would have to start all over again. During that time, I was really into plants, and I really wanted to fill the store with my vision was all these plants just kind of like cascading down, and then in between you see books, right? That was my whole goal, and I thought paper and plants would be fun to sell. I don't sell plants anymore, but I do have a lot of plant motifs, or little things that are, you know, like plant stickers and stuff like that. But I also put a little plant coming out of my logo, which is my dog. So it's Paper Plant Company. That's how. And the reason why I use my dog was because Thank You Coffee, the coffee shop that we share the space with, they have a cat. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if there's a dog and a cat that live happily together? And since they have a character, we could have a character, and it could work together. And it actually has been. It's been like the perfect match, because before with Paper Please, it just had a pencil underneath, and it didn't really, I wasn't able to use it as a brand or branding, for branding. But with my dog, Vincent, as the main logo character, I've been able to use him on t-shirts and notebooks, and I can have the cat and him sitting together drinking coffee and stuff like that. So that's how it came about. How are you getting the word out about your new business? Really, it's online. I feel like back in the day, it would be, hey, check out my website, paperplant.co. Hey, check out my website, www. Hey, check out my blog. But now, as much as Instagram started off as just like a fun thing for regular people, it's really become a whole business. So for us, majority of our visibility that people find out about us is through our Instagram and our TikToks. Luckily, we've had a couple of videos go viral, and that really, made our page just be seen, and because of that, they come and shop with us. So really, it's a lot of putting work and effort into social media. I work with the shop manager. She's really good at it, and we just come up with ideas or send each other ideas and then kind of have them scheduled and posted. And then another thing I'm working on right now is trying to get visibility through Pinterest. So I'm also asking another staff member to help me post more on Pinterest and see if that will help get our name out. Another thing that we have tried in the past, which I might try again later this year, well, actually I am doing it, which is craft shows. Doing any type of craft shows or pop-ups in other locations, and making sure we have our business cards or little postcards with information about us to let them know who we are. And that's what my biggest thing is, that's what we're doing in New York in August for the Stationery Fest. We are the only shop, I think. Everyone else is an original vendor of some sort. But for me, I think the biggest thing is just letting people know that on the West Coast, there's Paper Plant Co., and hopefully that will help spread the word. How did you finance the startup costs? This is also a question I get asked a lot. So to finance the shop, this is probably not the best way to do it, but this is the way we did it. And it took time to pay it off. But I was finally able to pay it off earlier this year. And this is my 4th year in. So here we go. The very beginning of opening up Paper Please, my original, I had a small savings. I think it was like maybe $4,000 or $5,000 that I said I would put into it. My partner at the time had no money, so I said, it's okay, I'll put in the money and we'll buy what we need to buy to start selling. So that's actually how we started. Once we put in that money, my money, to open the company, we opened up a credit card. During this time, we used this credit card to start purchasing as well. So you know how you have a year 0% interest and you get maybe like $8,000 to $10,000? Well, that's what we started to do. Because money wasn't coming in as quickly as we wanted it to, we did do, we also thought starting a GoFundMe would help us in 2 ways. One would be financially. So if they fund us, we'll gift them something in return, but we'll make a little bit of money off of that funding. And then 2, if they shared it, then it would be word of mouth for us. So we did start a GoFundMe. Unfortunately, that GoFundMe, we thought we could get possibly $10,000 or so, but I think we got a little under $2,000. That didn't help us much. After we opened, and maybe like the last month we were there in South Pasadena, we had a friend of a friend. Actually, during that time, we got approached by one guy. I think he said he was a doctor, and he said he wanted to help finance, but he also wanted a percentage of the company. It was too soon. It was only a month and a half, and we're like, no, we don't want another partner. So he said stay in touch. I don't know where his card went. And then another one was a friend of a friend who also loves stationery. he came by and he said, look, I have extra money lying around. Why don't you take it and you just pay me back with a very small interest? It was $10,000. So we did it because if you're going through a bank, there's a lot of things that you have to show that we didn't have. We only started this business a month and a half ago, so we didn't have anything to show, any finances. We had both just left our jobs, so we didn't have any income. We knew that we wouldn't be able to get a loan. So we were just trying to figure out how to stay afloat until we could pay everyone back. So we made an agreement with this friend. It was a very small interest rate. I don't remember, it was like maybe 5 or 6%. And he didn't care when it would get paid as long as it was within 5 years or so. Luckily, we paid it off in 2 years. It wasn't that bad. So we had that, the credit card, and the extra money we made through our sales is how we did the down payment for our lease. Then pandemic hit. That's a whole other thing. We applied for grants, PPC loan, whatever. We couldn't get it because we didn't have payroll. Her and I were not on payroll. There was no money going in or coming out. It was very, very low. So we knew we couldn't get a loan. So then what happened, which was a huge miracle, is right out of pandemic when everything just separated, she left and I restarted. I applied for as many grants as possible, being Asian. I use that, being Asian American. I'm also half Brazilian, so Latin. Any grant I could find, I applied for, and I got one big grant. It actually wasn't a grant, it's called a recovery loan, which is a 0% interest loan. From that loan, I think the maximum amount you could have asked for was $250,000, but I was terrified, like that's such a large number. So I got $50,000. With that $50,000, I still have to pay it back. I believe I have 5 years to pay it back. So I'm on it right now. But with that $50,000, I was able to hire more staff, get better equipment for the shop, and I was able to buy more inventory for the shop. And once that happened, everything was so much better. But what I didn't tell you is all the credit card stuff that we had put on this credit card was not getting paid off for the 2 years I was with this partner. I have never been in so much debt. If you know me, I'm pretty good with money. I know what I have, and I know when I'm not allowed to spend. And with her, it was very difficult because her priority was for her to get paid before we paid off debt. We had so much debt on credit cards. I mean, I believe it was like around $20,000 on credit cards, because we were just spending and spending and spending and not paying it off as much as we could because we needed to pay ourselves somehow. But we barely did. There were months where we paid ourselves $100, $500. If we paid ourselves $1,000, it was great. But you guys, I didn't even get on payroll until late last year. So it took me this long to be on payroll. When she left, I was in charge of paying off all this credit card debt. Because even though you close a company, you can't really just say, oh, I'm not going to pay anything. You still have to pay. And she left, and the credit card was under my name. So I had to pay. Luckily, I was able to pay that off last year. But it took a lot of time, and also I wasn't able to use the recovery loan to pay off any debt. That's an agreement, you're not allowed to do that. So it really was just putting in that extra hard work, raising our social media, raising our sales to pay off all these things. Now I actually have it under control. It's really, really good now. Now I'm just trying to save up enough to hopefully get another location or to somehow expand. I'm still trying to figure that out, but that's what I'm doing now. So if you are able to get a 0% interest loan, or a loan from family members or something where, you know, it's not gonna, if anything happens, you can just keep paying them and not be scared that the bank is gonna close all your shit and everything. Go that route. Or save up enough money to do it so that you are not wondering or worrying about it all. Make sure you already have like income coming in, because once you open, you're gonna rely on it. Like, that's finances. If you're not good with money, I highly suggest you hire an accountant, someone that you can ask questions, someone that you can like try to figure out how to maneuver your money around to make sure it's not spent for the end of the year or for whatever emergency is needed. But finances are a huge thing. There's a lot of people that think that because of the money that's coming into the shop, it goes straight to the owner. If it did, then the company itself wouldn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? The company, it's its own entity. Yes, I own the company, but I also work for the company. That's how I get paid. I'm finally on payroll. You guys, you don't understand how this is a huge thing. And the only reason I'm on payroll is because when I hired an accountant, he said that's what I need to do. He's like, you got to stop trying to figure out how much you can pay yourself. You have to make sure you pay yourself and your staff, and you make sure that you make that much money and more every month. And that's what I'm doing. That's how I got the finances to start the shop. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend putting everything on a credit card, but for some people it works. For some people it takes time. If there's partners in it, it's a whole other ball game. But yeah, there's so many ways to go about it, to start financing your business, and hopefully you find something that works for you. I see that this video is getting to be real long. Okay, this will be the last question. What are your goals for your business? So for my business, originally, I have this huge dream of taking over the United States. I wanted to be, let me rephrase. I still want to be the next Paper Source. In America, people think Paper Source is a stationery store. In my mind, Paper Source is a gift shop. That's what I see. But for many Americans, it's a stationery store. So I would like for Paper Plant Co. to possibly either replace what Paper Source is, or to actually come to the same level as where Paper Source is, to just show that there is more than just wrapping paper and some knickknacks that's stationery. I'm not dissing on Paper Source, trust me. I still go into Paper Source. I'll go in during the holidays, I'll grab little gifts, I'll grab cute wrapping paper, but what I grew up knowing stationery in Japan, there's so many like small businesses that are run by husband and wife in Japan, and their stationery stores are so cool and so cute and so curated. That's what I want it to be. So right now, I'm so happy with my tiny shop, but I do hope that we expand as a business and grow into something bigger than what I could imagine, is my goal. I would love to be on the same level as Paper Source. I'm laughing because it's so crazy, because I'm like this tiny thing, and Paper Source is this huge, massive giant. But I don't know. We'll see. I feel like we're doing really, really good for being a very small business. There's only 4 or 5 of us, and we communicate well. We create together really well. We're very passionate about stationery. So I feel like it's another moment of growth that will be happening very soon. That's all I could wish for. I love my little shop, and I just want to share this little shop throughout the United States. to share my love of stationery and to also show how there are so many cute things that you could be using that'll make your day or make your friend's day when you send it to them or something. So yeah, that's my goal. It's so big. Okay, this is getting way too long. I should probably, ChatGPT had more questions, but maybe I'll save it for another day. Or if you have any other questions that I haven't asked myself or ChatGPT hasn't asked me, please let me know in the questions below, and I'll make a whole other video. I'll do a part 2 because I get asked all the time and it's just impossible for me to respond to everyone on a DM. So now, if you have a question, you will be receiving this video. Please leave your questions down below. Let me know. And let me know if you're starting your business. I love meeting other small business owners and talking and helping each other out. There's so much to learn together, you know? But yeah, thank you for watching this long video, and good luck with your small business. I'll see you soon. Bye.